Welcome to my humble homestead and garden side chat. I've had a very productive day today. And let me tell you, I'm really glad I made that lazy lasagna because I was going to cook a whole bunch of stuff today and I'm tired. So I am just going to dish that up. And I was even going to make a salad with it. And I had one battle wound. I was trying to cut up an avocado and they weren't quite ripe. So I thought, I am just going to have the lazy lasagna with some fermented sauerkraut and call it a night. So anyway, but I did have some fresh stinging nettle out of my herb garden that I was going to turn into a tincture. I also have some drying in the dehydrator for later. So since I'm going to do that, I wanted to go over why I'm taking stinging nettle, which many people just think is a weed and don't like it and just ignore it, especially if you touch it and it stings your hands because it has those little furry prickly things on there. So I wore garden gloves and I didn't have a problem. I just went ahead and harvested in a big bowl. This is fresh. So why I'm doing a tincture with fresh is because after it sits a while, especially in the alcohol, all of that stinging stuff is going to dissolve and go away. But the benefits of it are going to be in this tincture. You can also use the dried and still get benefits of it. I know a lot of people make tinctures with the dried, and that's all right too. But I saw one actual scientist did it. So I'm like, hey, I'm going to try it this way and see how that works for me. So these are some of the other tinctures I've made. I just want to show you like the after. This is a holy basil tincture. This is a headache one that I use feverfew. Oh, let me show you my feverfew flowers here. I pulled some in. So this one has feverfew and valerian root and wild lettuce in it. But here I just brought in some feverfew flowers because honestly I've been a little headachy lately. And I will literally just, when I feel a headache, I'll just do a little one but I'll go out to my garden and I'll just chew on it. I mean, it doesn't bother me at all. It has a little bit of bitterness afterwards, but nothing bad. So I'm actually I think I'm just gonna freeze these. I thought about dehydrating, but I have a bunch of dehydrated feverfew. And they're starting, as you see, they're starting to kind of go down, like the flowers are kind of starting to go down a little bit. So I just wanted to have some fresh. So I'm going to freeze these. And I guess that's another preserving. Anyway, but I wanted to go over some things about stinging nettle because it is amazing. It's amazing how many things we have in our backyard or in our areas that are like superfoods. Stinging nettle is one thing when people didn't have money, they would just go ahead and make soup. See, I got a little tickle from that. Soups and stuff out of this because stinging nettle is actually full of protein, which I need to get some water. So anyway, so stinging nettle, when people didn't have money and really didn't have any food, they would just cook this up and eat it. Now, it is one thing to just keep in the back of your mind, but that's not. Anyway, there are other benefits of it. And I did write my little notes down because I know one of the things I've been wanting to do is just focus on, like one herb, different things and the benefits of it and share those with you as well as make a tincture and have them on hand, or you can have it in tea, different things. But nettle is full of vitamin C, vitamin K1, magnesium, the B vitamins, calcium, loaded with calcium, iron, potassium, phosphorus, and very high in protein. So craziness, just chock full, all right? And it's very similar to kale. So it's kind of, besides with it. So I know people have just actually sauteed it up in some olive oil with garlic. I know other people have boiled it like spinach and just added butter and salt and pepper. So there's a lot of different ways you can do it. Other people just throw it in soup. What I'm going to do, which I got this tip again from, I love her, from Heidi on Rain Country. That's where I got it. From Heidi on Rain Country is I'm dehydrating a whole bunch of it. And then I'm going to make it up like with green powder. And she does that and she adds it to a lot of her foods. I also had some kale and I had some beetroot greens. So I'm just going to mix all that up and have another. I love that green powder. I put it in so many things. So that's what I'm going to do with that, as well as just have the tincture for when I have like an ailment or need it. So one thing, I was watching another herbalist, and what he was saying is, and I'm going to show you a whole list of things that nettle is good for. And it can become overwhelming because I know, a lot of different herbs have a lot of benefits to just one thing. But what might work for one person might not work for another. So the best way to do it, like one person, this is supposed to be really helpful for like arthritis and joint pain. But I know one person that tried it for arthritis and joint pain and it didn't help at all. However, one thing that Heidi said too, it was really interesting. I honestly don't know that I would want to try this, but way back in the day in Rome, what they used to do is joint knuckles, when they had swollen joint knuckles, they would take stinging nettle, stinging and all, and they would take branches of it and just whack it on the swollen joint with the stinging. It probably stung so bad they forgot about the other bit. I'm sorry, Heidi, that's not even funny. But they would just whack it, and they said it would help. So nettle is good internally and externally. So maybe for joint pain and stuff, maybe it is better externally. You can make a tea out of it. You can drink it and you can also use it externally. So anyway, let me get back to my notes. I'm getting a little off. But my point in all that is that and this goes across the board with different herbs. So I'll give you what I'm going to try this for. And I have like 3 specific things that I want to try it for. And I'm going to see if it works for those for me. I know for sure feverfew works for my headaches. It does. It does. It works. Now, maybe it wouldn't work for somebody else. I don't know. But I know in medical school they have actually really taken off on the feverfew. So hopefully it does work for a lot of people. But let's get back to the nettle here. So the health benefits of the stinging nettle is it is very detoxifying. It's a liver detoxifier too. So that's one thing that's really good. That's kind of across the board. So, it is a good detoxifier. It's an anti-inflammatory. Now, like I said, what may work for one may not work for another. But that is one thing that I'm really looking. We all know I try everything for anti-inflammatory. So both internally and externally. So like I said, with the arthritis and stuff, people use it topically. Reproductive health in both male and female. And I did read a study on that where it does help some estrogen and testosterone levels and things like that. So, I could see that. I also read something where it does increase breast milk. So if some of you women are breastfeeding, you could look into that, maybe adding some nettle tea to if you need to increase your breast milk intake. So I also read a study on that. So that was a little side note. Let's see, cardiovascular health. My past, that's not going to hurt me at all. Regulating blood pressure and blood sugar. So that's always good, to regulate, especially people who have diabetes issues. It helps regulate the blood sugar. Now, I do want to say, there are 3 reasons why I would caution people to just go out and take herbs without speaking with a medical profession or really doing your due diligence and research. One is pregnant, one is breastfeeding, and one is taking pharmaceutical medications. Those reasons, really just do some research. Or, like me, I went to the doctor yesterday, and I have she's so hard to get into. But I saw a physician's assistant yesterday, but I talked to her because my main doctor is a homeopath doctor. She's an osteopath. She is like right up here with me. And if I want to add more herbs into my diet, because my goal is, and my getting off my medication is baby steps. That was the one thing that I did talk to the doctor about yesterday. I let her know. I told her what medications I had decreased. I had discussed with her my headache issues I've been having. I take a once a month shot that I take that helps prevent it. But I told her that 3rd week, right up to that time, I've really been struggling. So she thought maybe I was backing off on because I want to get off my meds. She thought maybe I was backing off a little too much. So maybe just try that 1 week, just to up it a little bit, So they're helpful with me as far as they know I want to get off medication. That's awesome. So I'm not against doctors or, I believe you have to be wise, especially with taking herbs. I mean, and the other thing is I felt like I had a sinus infection. But I did ask her, I said, you know what? I really want to wait on an antibiotic and try some steaming and stuff. She was all for it. She was great. And I said, I still want to infuse some garlic and honey. And she was for it. So, just talk to your doctor providers about that. And don't just go off and take a bunch of herbs if you are on medication. Okay. So just be wise. I don't want anybody to, counteract something. Even ask your pharmacy if you don't feel comfortable if you don't think your doctor is really, into herbs and herbalism. And if that's the case and you're trying to get off your medication, maybe get another opinion, but that's just a little side note. Anyway, back to this. Okay, so that was the blood pressure, blood sugar. Oh, it also has styptic properties, and that's similar to like yarrow. So with stinging nettle and yarrow, if you have like a cut, and I'm not talking like where you need stitches cut, but if you cut yourself and you're bleeding, I planted yarrow. So if you have some yarrow, I heard stinging nettle is this way too. Topically, you can put it on that cut and it stops the bleeding. So that is one thing, is to have that's why I have yarrow on hand. I mean, it's really good. I should remember that when I have these little cuts. Go grab some yarrow. But I thought it would be good, especially, I have grandkids, and as they get older, you never know if they're, over and roughhousing or whatever. So yeah, so that has styptic properties too. And then it's also good for eczema. So eczema, I heard it's more topical, like if you make it in like a tea, and you soothe it on there. So I know my son had eczema when he was little. So, I mean, it definitely would be worth trying. You could even, maybe you could take that tea and mix it in one of the lotions or something. But yeah, nettle, you definitely don't want to do it straight. You want to cook it in a tea because of the stinging nettle. But that's supposed to be really good for eczema, which makes sense because it's also good for allergies, which is really another big reason for me to take it. And the reason why I'm making the tincture is because of the allergies. So I know some people that when they've actually gone around animals or, for me, it's harvest time is coming and I have a field behind me and I live in a farm area. And when harvest season comes, it affects me, or even the change of seasons. So that would be a time I would take a tincture, if my allergies are really bothering me. But what they had a flare up of their allergies, where the swollen eyes, whatever, they took the tincture and they said it made a world of difference. So I know I do the honey, but I'm going to try this for that too. So the anti-inflammatory and now the allergy. So those are the two. I have one more also. Let's see. Oh, it's also good for acne, and then good for thyroid health. So if people, if they've been having some thyroid issues, that's always a really good one too, is a stinging nettle. You can do it in a tincture or tea as well. And then muscle. It's also good for muscle. So the anti-inflammatory in the muscle, and then the allergy. Those are the reasons that I'm going to try it. So, like I said, I'm just going to add the green powder to some meals just to kind of boost my nutrition wise. And then I'm going to make the tincture for if I have a flare up, like a flare with my allergies and stuff. That's what I'm going to use that for. So yeah, so that's kind of what I have for the stinging nettle. Yeah, so that's what I have. So let's get on this tincture. So I have some fresh in here. You can also use the dried. Now with the dried, you'd probably use a lot less. I was going to have a little spoon to smush it down here. But what I do is I just take cheap vodka. It's got to be 80 proof, but literally I don't buy anything expensive. And then I just cover it up, the nettle. I thought about adding the feverfew to this, but I already have a headache one, and I don't really want it specifically for headaches. I want it for, I think that's enough. I'm going to get something to munch it down. I want it for more myofascial. I get like a lot of, muscular and things like that. So I kind of want it for overall muscle health. What am I? I'll use a plastic straw. No, I'm not going to sit and drink. That's ridiculous. Oh yeah, I'll need some more. I did find my plastic knife that I use for canning though. I remember, I don't know if you were watching my other video where I was doing the canning, and I said, I wonder if it's under my pantry shelves. And sure, I usually use just a little electric sweeper to sweep my floors. And I just thought, I'm just going to use a manual broom. And I swept under there, and sure enough, that's where it had been. So this is looking pretty good. I'm just going to add a little bit more because we want the entire leaves to be covered. And I have a feeling that, ooh, I am not a fan of the smell of vodka, if you haven't noticed my reaction. But just to let you know, like these, I have an echinacea one that actually, and the holy basil one doesn't smell bad. I literally, like, here's the mullein one. This one is for my lung health. I really, like, literally take this much, a drop of it, like this. So if y'all are worried about, putting alcohol in it, I mean, you can do apple cider vinegar and then it's more of an elixir too. But it doesn't bother me, and it does pull the, the herb benefits out of it. But you can do the same thing with apple cider vinegar, especially if you don't want to give that to children. That is absolutely fine. So this is all under now. And then what I do is I label it, what it is, and with the date. And then I'm just going to cover it. I'm going to leave it in a dark place, like in a cupboard or in my pantry. There's no windows in there. And I leave it for, I mean, they say 6 to 8 weeks, a good 6 to 8 weeks. So that, you know, that's probably good allergy time. So, you know, if I don't need it, I leave it a little bit longer. But if I do, then what I do is I strain it in one of my bottles, in a dark bottle, and then I have like a dark cabinet in my bathroom that you know, it's kind of my little apothecary. I just kind of keep all my little tinctures there, and I'm starting to build some up. So yeah, that's how I do it. So that is how we're going to use nettle for now. And I'm happy to have another one going right now. And as I learn more about different herbs and their uses and benefits, I will share that with you. All right, we can learn and grow together. That's what we're doing here. All right, so thanks so much for watching, you guys. It's been a very productive day. I'm so happy about that. And I'm going to go have a piece of lasagna and relax now. All right, be blessed. Bye.